Hey guys, hope you guys had a good day trading today. Today was a very strong consolidation day, mostly on the Qs. Pretty impressive that the 9:45 a.m. 15-minute candle on the Qs, we actually held that same range all day long. So once that 9:45 a.m. candle hit, we never broke that range. So just a lot of consolidation. Consolidation usually leads to a big move. So currently, when we look at SPY here, we have 3 days of strong consolidation. Right now, our key level really is this 454.2. That's pretty much exactly where we closed today. But on the SPY, we did put in a new daily demand at 452.2. So favoritism goes to the upside as usual, because what is happening? Well, we have an official oversold daily DMI. We are in extreme bull momentum on the daily and weekly. And we just put a new demand in, and we have maintained the support of the daily AEMA. So really what needs to happen tomorrow for the bulls is, after breaking this small little down channel right here, is that we need to close over 454.2 minimally. If we can close over that, then we'll break this 3-day long consolidation. Ideally, we want to close over 455.2 to also break this, and that's going to lead to our upside. I still have an upside target about 460s, mid 460s, potentially as high as 470 by next week maybe, or the week after. But overall, I am bullish. I remain bullish. I'm looking for upside. However, if we reconfirm 454.2 as supply, then we're likely going to come back down and test 452.2. I really would not look to short this until we close below the daily AEMA. And honestly, if you zoom out here, this black bull channel that we've been in since really all the way back here in May, I would not short until we break that. And realistically, I mean, you have to think about this from two sides. What makes the market sell off? Initially, there has to be a catalyst. So last week, what happened? We had the rebalancing. So markets had to sell off because they had to rebalance. So that gets us our red days. Then what happens? Well, you have to have a reason to continue to sell. So you have to convince every single person, well, within reason, every single person, you need to convince them, those people that bought down here in March, you need to convince them that this is truly the top. You need to convince them to sell. That's not easy to do. You also need to convince the people that just bought in at 430s that missed this whole run from 380s to the 430. You need to convince them that them selling right now is not them missing the next $30 or $50 move up on SPY or Qs or whatever. So I think a lot of people get bearish, and I did this in early 2023 and late 22, was that I just expected the market to go down because, why? Because there's so much really realistically bad stuff going on with, rate hikes and earnings and the economy and whatever else, that you can think of, recessions, things like that. I expected market would continue to go down. However, what I failed to understand, and well, not understand necessarily, but failed to really grasp and really just kind of trust, is the fact that once you have that initial sell-off, I mean, this is back in March right here. So this is when we had the bank run. What happened? We had our initial sell-off, we have the, oh crap, banks are on a run, initial sell-off for, about 4 or 5 days here. But then what happens? People buy the dip. Why? Because they don't have a reason to believe that they're selling the top. They think that there was still more to go. And if you bought at 382 on this peak or this dip right here, you were absolutely correct. So that's what I'm saying here, is that yes, there is a potential to short this and maybe look for a retest back down here at 442 or take out this 447 supply. But I don't see a catalyst, and it's definitely not going to be FOMOC. I don't see catalysts to, one, make people want to sell, and for two, to make people want to continue to sell. That's the important part. Once there's the initial sell-off or retrace and retest of support, like kind of like we had here and here and here, there's no reason to continue to sell. This is your buying opportunity. This consolidation, much like right here, this is your buying opportunity. Going over to futures, same thing. We broke our little down channel here. We also got a new daily demand. It must have came in at the very last second, because when markets closed, we actually did not have a new daily demand on futures. But when I just checked back to start this video, we had put it in when the 5 p.m. candle closed. So realistically, right now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, working on our 6th day of potentially closing in the same about 32 point range, from 45.63 to 45.95. So if you want to be conservative, which I highly recommend in this market, until we close over 45.96, I would not be going long. Until we close under 45.63 and hold, I would not be going short. So at this point, we're in a holding pattern. We're in consolidation. Generally, when we have moments of consolidation like this, it generally leads to a move to the upside, which is what I'm going to be looking for. Now the Qs have been a little bit more weak. We did break our bear channel here. We are barely holding our bull channel right here, the blue one. The Qs look a little more weak. Why? One, we didn't put a new demand in today. Two, we are still under the 8 EMA. Now, which is interesting to me is that Tesla had a big day today, 3.5% up. Google had a pretty sizable day. What I thought was really interesting this morning, and maybe it still has to do with the rebalancing, but most of the big tech opened pretty green this morning. However, if you watch the breadth, which is like, which is the basically sell pressure, so whether people are selling or people are buying, the ratio was actually negative, which means there was more selling happening than buying, even though almost all of tech this morning, besides Tesla, even though it closed the highest, was green. So that was kind of interesting to see. So basically what I'm looking for here on the Qs is we're not quite in the same sort of consolidation. If you look at it though, we do have a consolidation period from here to here. So for the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 days now, we have closed in about $11.20 range. So realistically, until we break and close under 375.6, or really until we close over 386.8, we are just in a consolidation range. Now, for me, if tomorrow we can close back over 379.2, we're going to turn this into a new demand. That's going to then target 385.7, 388.5, and 389.9 on the supply level. Break through that, and then we have a target of 400 probably within the next couple weeks. 400 remains my target, and yes, I understand that is basically all-time highs. But that's my target. There's, like I said, no reason to expect a pullback. Going to the VIX here. Now, the VIX was kind of interesting today. So once again, we have the VIX closing green while SPY and the Qs also close green. Something that doesn't happen very often, sure seems to be happening a lot lately. One of the biggest things that I note here is the fact that VIX actually put in a new demand today. I don't think, since I've been watching supply and demand, I've ever seen the VIX and SPY put in a demand at the same time. So that is very, very interesting. So what actually happened is we put a new demand in at 13.57. However, we actually closed back under the previous supply at 14. There's basically two scenarios. Either tomorrow we close bearishly back down by this 13.6 area, and then we can return this into a new supply at 14.29, or we're going to see a bigger move up, and we're going to probably try to get up to the 15 range. So one thing to keep in mind is that with FOMC happening in 2 days now, we are very likely to see the VIX continue to rise into FOMC and then drop after FOMC. So this next 2 days, or at least tomorrow, I wouldn't put a ton of weight into the overall days movement. However, if you watch the VIX today, it was pretty spot on with price action. So if the VIX was going up on like a 1 or 5 minute time frame, 15-minute time frame, SPY was going down. So I've noticed this a lot lately. We are having these like big gaps up or big gaps down on the VIX, but once the actual intraday movement happens, it kind of solidifies and it kind of moves how it's supposed to. So that's kind of a really cool phenomenon to watch. So I would not be surprised to see the VIX kind of push up and try to target somewhere in like the 14.5 to 14.8 area. However, there has been pre-FOMOC days where the VIX does drop. So it'll definitely be interesting to watch. Overall, though, you can see the VIX also is in consolidation. It is trying to break out, though. Last little thing is Bitcoin. Bitcoin's finally breaking support. Now, the question is, it has about an hour to do it, but it needs to close below 29.8K. Be the first time it's closed below that level since back here on June 21st when we did the huge pump. This drop here could signify that next support down here at 28.3 and maybe even as low as 26.8K could be retested. The 100 EMA and the 200 EMA will be big support levels to watch on Bitcoin.